Good morning, everybody. My name is Melissa Smith. I am the Business Services Consultant with GuilfordWorks. We represent the Greensboro and High Point area, and we're also with the NC Works Career Centers. This is a bit of a new initiative that our business services team is launching. It is our GuilfordWorks Business V Series. This is our way to connect with our local employers on various topics and resources and needs, and just kind of get the heartbeat of what's going on and share also a lot of our connections with a lot of the employers we have here in the area. So we're very excited. This is our first webinar, a first of many. So we're very excited to have our first guest with us. We have Mr. Wilson Lester. He is the Executive Director of the Piedmont Business Capital. Very excited to have him. I've known Wilson for a few years. I'll just say it like that. Like I'll take it back to when we worked at A&T together years ago.
Yeah, that
so
was
we've just kind of been along in each other's journey through A&T, but also we were both graduates of the Leadership Greensboro class of 2018. I would say it's
yep.
the best class.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
Once we learned about his wonderful initiative that Piedmont Business Capital is offering with their COVID-19 continuity loan, we knew that this would be an excellent opportunity for him to share, especially because with everything going on with the COVID-19 crisis, employers are asking for help and needing the support. So it's really good that we have one of our very own, our homegrown, that's able to provide this wonderful need to our employers. So before we kind of get started, everyone, just a few housekeeping notes. Um, First of all, if you just put yourself on mute, we do want to make sure that we can hear and receive all the information that Wilson has to share. Also, if you do have questions, there should be a chat feature. So if you would just include your questions in the chat, we'll make sure that all of them are answered. Also, we want to know who all is on the line. So in the chat, also put your name and your email address and where you're coming from. We want to continue to connect with you. So just put that in the chat as well. Make sure I'm not missing any notes on my end. And also, we're going to be recording this session. So if you learn some things that you want to share, we are going to be recording this session, and it will be found on the GuilfordWorks link that we'll make sure to share with you at the end. So before we get started, Wilson, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we can kind of jump into the continuity fund.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Melissa, for inviting me. And I really appreciate this opportunity to be speaking with each of you this morning. Again, my name is Wilson Lester. I have the pleasure of serving as the Executive Director of Piedmont Business Capital. I've been in the Greensboro area for a long time now. I've been an entrepreneur the majority of my life. I went to Greensboro College for my business degree and Michigan State for my master's in business. And really have always kind of been connected to business, grew up in a family that was really into ownership and education about business and how to grow and how to survive as an entrepreneur. And so I feel extremely connected to my work, and I'm very thankful to have an opportunity to connect our community to capital, relationships, and information. So I appreciate this opportunity to spend this time with you all to discuss this. So I'm going to go through quite a number of slides, about 24 slides. I'm going to try to be as concise as possible so that there's some time for some questions. But as I put this presentation together, I started to look at some other information that I did not want to have you guys miss.
Okay.
So here we go. So just so you, So who are we? Our mission is to create a shared economic prosperity through equitable lending and investment. And what that means is that our lens on how we put capital into businesses is a little bit different from traditional lenders. So if you could think of a green index card on top of a white sheet of 8.5 by 11 printing paper. That green index card represents all capital in the traditional market. It is green because it has a lot of money in it, somewhere around $20 trillion, we'll say. And the space that I'm in has less money in it, but it's that white sheet of paper. So all the criteria that doesn't fit into that index card, doesn't fit into that smaller box, can color outside the lines and fall onto that white sheet of paper. So it could be a lower credit score. It could be a shorter period of time in business. It could be a cash flow that's not as strong as a traditional lender would like. It could be, and oftentimes, are business concepts that are outside of Main Street or what people can anticipate if they're not a part of certain cultures. So we accept some different things that we allow to have happen, and we try to help support businesses that way, because we want to see a community that is diverse. We want to see a community that is healthy, and we want to be sure that every citizen in our local community that seeks entrepreneurship as a pathway to sustainability for their personal situations has that opportunity to participate. Mm-hmm. So we have 3 lending programs: MicroEnterprise Loan Fund, MWBE Loan Fund, and Small Business Expansion Fund. The MicroEnterprise Loan Fund is designed for businesses that are really less than a year old, and we lend anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000 to those businesses. Now, a micro loan in the traditional sense is considered a loan under $100,000. But this is how we position it, because we think of it a little bit differently, because there are businesses that are hard to reach with a $100,000 loan. Right. So we bring the bar down so that if you need $2,500, $1,000 to get started, we want to be able to help you do that. Okay. All right. Now, one thing that's important to note about that, we do not fund pre-revenue businesses. We fund businesses that have actually started and are getting going, because we want to see that you put that skin in the game. Right. The order that I'm going in is very important, because right now, during this period of time, COVID-19, we are not implementing this program, but I want you to know about it because it is something that we offer. Yes. The Small Business Expansion Fund is for businesses that are more than a year old, that maybe are several years old or 10 years old, but they want to do some, they want to buy some new inventory, maybe they want to hire a new staff member, maybe they want to do some remodeling, or they need some new equipment, and those loans are anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000. And we are not doing that program right now either. So I skipped down to number 3, because number 2 we are doing. So this is the MWBE Loan Fund. This is a loan that is specifically designed for diverse suppliers, developers, service providers, and contractors. Okay. So we are capitalizing loans, and we do this through assignment of contract, which essentially means that when you perform on a contract, the proceeds come to us. We manage your cash flow with you so that we can give you some of your capital back, and we can get some of our capital back at the same time, so that we can get repaid and we can support your business at the same time at minimal cost. So that is our flagship activity, and we are maintaining that because there's a lot of opportunity in supply chain right now for businesses that are diversely owned and are in that industry. So I kind of want to tell you about some of our partners. Technical support. We have partners with Carolina Small Business Development Fund, which is another community development financial institution like our own, based in Raleigh. City of Greensboro's MWBE office, East Greensboro Now, the Greensboro Chamber of Commerce, GTCC Small Business Center, Guilford County Purchasing and MWBE office, Hustle Winston-Salem over in Winston-Salem, and Venture Cafe of Winston-Salem, as well as YWCA of Greensboro. Important to note on here, this is a little bit of an older slide. We do have relationships with the Greensboro Business League,
Okay.
as well as the Black Chamber of Commerce of Greensboro.
Okay.
So just to let you know that. So we're working with all these agencies to make sure that we connect to the community in a meaningful way and get the information and context around what our services are and how they can grow their businesses in front of them readily.
Mhm.
Financial partners, we receive funding from Bank of America, City of Greensboro, Iberia Bank, NC Idea, PNC, Self Help, Wells Fargo, Wood Forest National Bank, Z. Smith Reynolds, and Nussbaum Center for Entrepreneurship. So what's really cool about that is we offer a MWBE loan, and that's just not necessarily in designation, but if you are a woman or minority-owned business and you become a tenant and are approved to be a tenant at the Nussbaum Center for Entrepreneurship, you have an opportunity to receive a no barrier loan.
Oh, wow.
Okay, up to $2,500, and your rent prorated for 3 months. Really free for 3 months
That's good.
when you enter the building. So that's a unique partnership that we have with them. That is about $20,000 loan fund we have with them, and we've done very well with that. So I wanted to share this with you. Let's talk about capital that's available right now for small businesses. This is the North Carolina COVID-19 Rapid Recovery for Small Business Loan Fund, sponsored by Golden Leaf. It was initially started with a $15 million contribution from Golden Leaf to the NC Rural Center. And the NC Rural Center partnered with 7 CDFIs across the state of North Carolina. You see 6 of them there at the bottom: Piedmont Business Capital, and really 8. Piedmont Business Capital and the Sequoia Fund are also part of this program. This is a 5.5% interest, 48-month loan up to $50,000, and it's based on 2 months of your gross revenue. And it's underwritten. The underwriting criteria is lenient, I'll say, and we have the opportunity to partner with them on this. The critical thing to note here is that if you apply for one of these loans, Piedmont Business Capital may not necessarily be the entity that underwrites it. It could be any one of the partners, but it is an excellent opportunity to get funded right now. It's important to note that the state of North Carolina has contributed $125 million to this fund. So the fund is now $140 million. And there is a carve out for women and minority owned businesses. And they're putting a strong focus on diversity. So I told you what the loan sizes were. You must be a business affected by COVID-19 in North Carolina. You must have at least 1 employee, even if that employee is yourself. And your business must have been in operation before March 23rd, 2020. All right. Anyone that owns 20% or more of the business must participate in application. Proceeds from the loan can only be used for maintaining or restarting the business. The use of the loan funds to pay off debts are already incurred. For qualifying business maintenance or restart purposes, it may be authorized. So if there was an expense that you took out a debt for before you received this loan, they can use it to pay back that debt if the debt was related to business activities only. All right. The other thing that's important about this loan is if you've applied for an EIDL loan or PPP through SBA and you do receive it, you will be required to repay this loan if you receive those funds. Okay.
Is there a certain time period that it has to be paid off in?
Upon receipt.
Upon receipt. Okay.
But this is a lot of great context here. You can visit ncrapidrecovery.org, ncrapidrecovery.org, and get in there and dig into the information and apply online. And one of the 8 CDFIs participating will get your application and begin underwriting. So I just wanted to kind of give you a little bit more color about Piedmont Business Capital. So in addition to our lending activities, we do a lot of technical assistance and a lot of work in the community. And one of the things that we try to do is we try to inform uh, practitioners that may not be of diverse backgrounds about some of the challenges of minority and women-owned businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, uncover for those businesses who those stakeholders are in the community that want to support their success. So these are just a few images from an event that we do on an annual basis called the Engagement and Inclusion Summit. This past year it was held in Winston-Salem. It was a phenomenal event. This will be our 4th year coming up in the fall of 2020. And just stay tuned for that because it's an awesome development opportunity. I would most certainly encourage folks that own companies that may be listening or public entities that may be listening, including the workforce team, that this is a great PD opportunity, and hope that you all can participate in the future. Also, we do a lot to try to celebrate and highlight Black business. This is an event called Juneteenth that we host every year at the International Civil Rights Museum, where we really celebrate the opportunity for Black-owned businesses to commence in commerce and invite a speaker down every year and really have a great conversation. Mm-hmm. These are just a few images from some technical assistance events. If you look to the left of your screen in the white jacket, that's Dr. Andrea Johnson. She is our credit coach. Okay. We select businesses throughout the year to sit down with her, including spouses, and she will one-on-one for several months coach those couples and individuals through strengthening their credit so that they can potentially borrow from Piedmont Business Capital or another entity so they can really have solid footing. I was on a conversation earlier today that's just true for anybody, and I was talking to another leader of a nonprofit, and truly as a nonprofit, to a large extent, you yourself, when you're running one, you're an entrepreneur. And if you want to go out there and get that American Express credit card so that you can charge the things you need to do for the company, you can't get an American Express credit card for your business if they don't run your personal credit. That's so right. You need to be sure that that part of your life and situation is strong so that you can do the things that may be required for you to be successful. So we really invest in that. Chisa Penix Brown in the green is our technical assistance programs manager, and she coordinates many of our trainings and facilitations that happen at the public libraries throughout Guilford County, as well as here at the Nussbaum Center for Entrepreneurship. She is an instructor for the Small Business Center at Guilford Technical Community College, which we fund a portion of their programming throughout the year, every year. So it's a great opportunity to participate in those sessions. Many of them have been converted to online. So if you find that you need development, please check our social media, Facebook page. We have a full calendar. You can see everything that's going on there. So I wanted to show you all a little bit of something else that's happening. It is not in the city of Greensboro, but this is a regional effort. This is the exterior of our office space in Winston-Salem, where we hosted the Engagement and Inclusion Summit last year. But in 2018, we were funded by Wexford in partnership with Venture Cafe, a $200,000 grant to develop a minority business accelerator, which we call the Access Center for Equity and Success. In this facility, we connect diverse suppliers to public and private contract opportunities and capitalize those businesses. And we have many, many resources and relationships to help ensure that that happens. And we are present to provide capital. In fact, if you can see in this image, there's a gentleman standing in front of a TV monitor there in the back. His name is Vincent Brown. He is a painter and has significant contracts at Fort Bragg. And through our assignment of contract program that I talked about earlier, we were able to fund his business with $200,000, and he was able to return it to our organization within a 12-month period, performing on those contracts. So that's the type of work that we're doing there, and that's the type of opportunity that we want to provide our borrowers and people that own businesses in the community. And I'm quite certain, had we not been able to provide that capital to him, he would not have been able to perform on the contracts. Why that's important? That's important because in 2018, Vincent's business was $150,000 a year in revenue business. In 2019, Vincent's business was an $850,000 revenue business. And that is the conversion that we're trying to create. And that's the wealth that we're trying to create for communities and business owners that have been marginalized by that traditional lending system that's the size of a green index card. All right, so I'm going to flip it just a little bit. I'm going to try to do this part as quickly as possible. This is a program that we launched in partnership with Welfare Reform Liaison Project. Welfare Reform Liaison Project is a community action agency that does a lot of development for folks. And one of the things that they wanted to do was invest in entrepreneurship as a pathway to self-sustainability. And we created this program. You verify your eligibility with the Welfare Reform Liaison group, and then you're transferred to us where you meet with an entrepreneur coach that's on our team, and you build a custom roadmap with your entrepreneur coach that you define specific goals, and you receive investment with each goal along the way. Mm-hmm. What we're trying to do is create a flywheel where you can kickstart a business while getting coaching and capital to do that. I'm saying that because all of this capital and what I'm talking about right now is grant capital. So you provide your eligibility information to Welfare Reform, they approve you. You follow these guidelines, which is attend all meetings and report progress, reach each milestone, have access to capital. And if you have any challenges, feel free to talk with us about it and we'll work through it. Mm-hmm. All right. So this is just a sample timeline over 4 months. You begin with your pathway, you implement your first milestone, receive investment, you reach milestone 2, you begin to have capital returns, and then milestone 3, you're on a pathway to some level of stability, understanding what resources are available in the community to continue to grow your business. So use your entrepreneur coach, invest as advised, and turn a profit. That's what we're doing with that program. This next slide is totally different. This is not my slide. This is just some information that I thought would be important. Yes. This is a survey that was completed between April 30th and May 12th by Unidos and Color of Change. Mm-hmm. This is just to give you an idea of what minority businesses are looking for. Right now, top line thing is folks are looking for grants and other mm-hmm. types of relief programs. Mm-hmm. And down the middle there, they begin to look for loans. Mm-hmm. And this is really important because it's going to indicate what's happening on the next couple of slides and why mm-hmm. people are looking for grants over loans. Mm-hmm. So I'm saying this for those of you that are listening and may be in contact with small businesses or maybe small business yourself and no minority small businesses. Those businesses are not applying for enough money. Right. If you look at the green area, the majority of the loan requests are happening in the $10,000 to $20,000 mark. The problem with that is the majority of those businesses are not receiving that money, and if they're receiving it, that's all they're receiving. But if they ask for a little bit more, they'd have a higher likely chance mm-hmm. to receive a little bit more than that threshold that they're setting on themselves. Mm-hmm. Part of the reason that they're doing that is indicated on this slide. Mm-hmm. This is based on pure perception. Most minority businesses, that includes Latinx and African American businesses that are in this socioeconomic condition, really don't feel confident that there is an opportunity for them at lenders. Mm-hmm. So they're choosing not to even apply for funding. And when they choose to apply, they apply for what they hope they can get realistically versus what either they really need or, being a little bit more aggressive and overshooting it to be sure that you have what you need and then some. So this is just kind of some indication to share with you what the mindset of some entrepreneurs may be around accessing capital, and particularly during this era of COVID-19, when it is so desperately needed to ensure the success of your business. So that in a nutshell is who we are, what we do, what we are about. We do fund and support businesses of all ethnic backgrounds. We do focus on businesses that are owned by women or owned by minorities, and non-minority owned businesses that are creating jobs. So at the end of the day, we want to see a jobs report. We want to see people that are employing folks in our community, and we're doing our best to do that. So I appreciate, Melissa, you creating this opportunity for me to speak. I hope that I haven't bored anybody to death.
No.
I did want to share with you some detailed information that I thought was important about what we do and what the opportunities are and what's going on in our communities. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Now, just had a few questions. With the one thing that we're seeing now, especially with companies that are looking for different assistance, or companies that are unfortunately having to shut down, is it is allowing for the opportunity for them to kind of dig into that entrepreneurial spirit. It feels really good to know that there are resources here locally that we can share with them. So we can definitely share that with them, what they can do just to kind of get started. I had another question about, you mentioned the COVID-19 loan that's available. Is that the same thing as the continuity loan that you all are offering as well?
Right. So the continuity loan program that we offered is closed right now.
Okay. Okay.
We had $400,000 in that loan program, and we have loaned $401,000 in the last
Okay.
50 days or less. But we are right now working with several local foundations and some public offices to recapitalize that program.
Okay.
So we are working feverishly on it. We hope to be able to announce within the next 2 weeks that there's additional capital in it.
Good.
We do have several borrowers that have not completed their paperwork, but we have committed to, and they have a time limitation on completing that paperwork so that we can determine whether or not we have additional funds to release to the public, which should happen in the next week or so.
Yeah.
So it's a phenomenal opportunity. And just to break down what it is it is a low barrier loan. We are really looking at your impact and the impact of COVID-19 on your business, and identifying what your carrying costs have been, and providing that loan at 0% interest. And it's important to note that 0% interest is not something that we are able to do independently, because we're publicly funded, and we have to source grant capital to fund the interest expense for those borrowers. So that's another component to what we're trying to do, is ensure that we have the interest expense paid for, which alleviates the borrowers from being responsible for any interest payments. And we defer all of those notes for 90 days. So you have no payment for 90 days. And then when you do, it is solely based on the principal amount. The calculation that we do to determine how much each business would receive from that fund is we are doing 1.5 times 4 weeks of operating expenses. So if your operating expenses are $4,000 for the month, your loan amount would be $6,000.
Okay. I also, with the companies that you were able to award the loan to, did you see a specific industry where you saw an increase of receiving those loans? Or is it just kind of across the board?
Yes and no. I think what was what really resonated the most for me through the process of working with each business and having eyes on each business, whether I was working with them directly or it was someone on our staff,
Mm-hmm.
uh, is that there was no industry unscathed
Mm-hmm.
by this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and wildly, there are businesses that we drive past every day,
Mm-hmm.
that I never would have thought would have called us or contacted
Right.
us for anything. And then to see what the financial position was because of the virus was, disheartening. So, I mean, it's everybody. I
Yeah.
will say that we did, there are a number of personal care businesses
Okay.
that needed support. We tried to fund as many as we could,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and particularly in the minority community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Unfortunately, that figure that I showed on that last slide is just true. Many people do not apply because they think that no matter what it is,
They're just not going to.
they're not going to get it.
Yeah.
So they choose not to apply. Not saying that we didn't fund a number of those businesses, we did,
Mm-hmm.
but I know that there were a significant amount more that could have used the support, and
Right.
it's important that in this time that those of us that can, hey man, just go to your local business and make a donation. Even if it's not where you go, do something because people are in a situation right now,
Mm-hmm.
and if they don't get the support that they need, then they'll be challenged.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to unmute and we're going to allow for any questions. I'm not sure if we have any in the chat, but I will unmute everyone. And if anyone has any questions for Wilson, please feel free to share. Let's just give me a second here. Let's see.
Good morning, Lester.
Good morning.
This is Fred Henry. Quick question. Thank you for the presentation. Some very good information. Got a question. Through the previous round of stimulus, I know there was a lot of information regarding companies that initially applied for loans, especially small companies. They had issues getting loans because of the historical, I guess, relationship they had with the lenders.
Right.
But to narrow it down, you mentioned the minority businesses as
Yes.
far as being at least afraid to apply for these loans. Is there any data that we can look at locally when we see the percentage of awards of companies that were awarded these grants that were minority owned in our local area?
Are you speaking of in particularly from our program, or are you talking about like the SBA?
SBA more so, in your program also.
Well, I've not seen any local numbers in respect to SBA. There are some national numbers and some national reports out there that came out at the end of April that demonstrated what those numbers look like, and I'd be happy to email those to Melissa, and she can circulate those to everyone that's listening.
Okay.
The local stats on our program is we funded 51 businesses. 30 of those businesses were minority-owned businesses, 29 were women-owned businesses, and we had 10 non-minority male-owned businesses. So, I think that the diversity was strong in what we were able to accomplish, and it was about the intentionality of our organization's historic efforts
Mm-hmm.
that allowed folks in our community to recognize that there was an opportunity that they need to take advantage of, and that we were able to service it. I do believe, however, that efforts, and I'm not going to say I do believe, I know I'm on the advocacy committee on the National African American Alliance of CDFIs led by people of color. And we have written letters to Mnuchin and a number of other people that have their fingers on the strings. Can we say that?
Mm-hmm.
And there has been significant shifts in how they've administered the money from SBA. When it first kicked off, there was not a high focus on ensuring that CDFIs in particularly had the ability to deploy and support organizations with those resources. And that was skewed a little bit to include those organizations. The first iteration required that those CDFIs that did participate were previously SBA certified, and that eliminated our organization from being able to participate because we were not SBA certified. And then later on in April, they came out and said, well, it's okay if you're not SBA certified. We want you to take advantage of the program. The challenging aspect for us was that we did not, in order to participate in the program, your entity has to, of course, front the capital and then be reimbursed by SBA. And we just didn't have the kind of runway we felt to be responsible for the community. So we've been referring people to other CDFIs that represent the same values that we do, that they could take advantage of, that have a little bit more capital to be flexible enough to offer that program. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that strides are being made for a higher level of inclusivity for organizations like ours that target communities that have historically been marginalized mm-hmm. through lending, to provide those resources. But the bottom line, Fred, is it's just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Any other questions? See, going once. So we will make sure we are recording this session. So Wilson, if you just want to share with us the links, you can send them to me. We'll make sure to have the links to the specific loan that you with the NC COVID loan, as well as for the entrepreneurship loan and business coaching. All of those resources we do want to have here that we can share with our audience today. I do also want to thank you so much. We just appreciate everything that you're doing here to service our community. I know a lot of these small companies and entrepreneurs are so grateful for the work that you all are doing, and we just look forward to what's to come. Now, I do want to know just what type of support do you need from like us, from the partners? We're in this together. So what can we do to help in continuing this great work?
Great. I appreciate that so much. The answer is, at this particular moment, I have a lot of ideas. I don't know what the specific thing will be. I do know that we need an opportunity, and what's really a barrier right now is the fact that we can't be together.
Right.
But we really need an opportunity to create spaces where people that maybe don't have the savvy to be on a call like this, and not necessarily savvy, but may not have the access to,
right.
to a computer or internet or what have you to learn this information, to not only be able to come and learn the information, but be able to sit across the table from somebody that can help them complete the paperwork so they can submit for support, so mm-hmm. we can help those businesses and individuals, because there is a significant gap that's not being closed due to the fact that we can't be together. So I will say that as soon as we can, and we can do it safely, I would love to see a space created where we had professional staff from a number of different organizations volunteer their time to sit with business owners and help them walk through the process mm-hmm. of completing the required documentation and paperwork to get it done. I want to give a huge kudos to I've been on a lot of calls and have gotten a lot of visibility from this, but there are a lot of people that are not as visible. And I want to give a huge kudos to Bob Weston and the SBTDC. If people did not know, the SBTDC was mandated by SBA to help people through the application process. And while this team has not physically been in the office, they have been at home on their cell phones, on their computers for the last 6 to 8 weeks, helping small business owners through the process. And a significant amount of the idle and PPP money that we've seen come to our market to small business owners is a direct result of their work and others like them. So there's a lot of people out here. There are droves of people that we probably don't know and don't know their names or faces, but are working hard to create some equity for people that are marginalized.
And I was just also thinking, with just when we're able to come together. I know our business services team would love to collaborate with you all, because I know you're hearing a lot of the challenges from local small business owners about if that are currently operating that still need assistance, specifically in training. So one thing that we offer here is our incumbent worker training grant. So I think I can see something kind of happening where we can combine a lot of our resources to also help these small business owners maintain and retain their staff and keep them trained, keep them knowledgeable, keep operations going. So I can see this conversation continuing and possibly some further partner work.
Outstanding. I appreciate you so much for the opportunity.
Definitely, definitely. So like we mentioned, we thank you again. We have recorded this session. So if you do go to our site, www.guilfordworks.org, you'll be able to find it there, this wonderful recording. We encourage you to share it. You can find us on all the social media outlets here. Wilson, did you want to share your information with Piedmont Business Capital and where you all are located and if they want to check you out?
So we have offices here at 1451 on South Elm Eugene, the Small Center for Entrepreneurship, and also at 486 North Patterson Avenue in Winston-Salem. You can find us at Piedmont BizCap on all social media platforms. That's @ Piedmont BIZCAP.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And we do hope that you all can join us for our next webinar. It will be on June the 2nd. The topic will be on reopening and safety precautions for employers. So today we're going to be launching into phase 2. So a lot of our businesses will be reopening, but we are getting a lot of questions on what do we do? How do we prepare? So we are going to be having our next webinar series on that. The speaker will be Matt Schweitzer, who is our safety administrator here with the City of Greensboro. That will be coming to share with us. So we hope to have you all then. Thank you again so much, Wilson. We truly appreciate you on behalf of our business services team at GuilfordWorks. We wish you much success, and we look forward to the continued partnership.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We hope everyone has a good day and stay safe. Thank you all.